good, y'all? I'm Jerry, about to check out why WWE fans love Sheamus now. This video is by What Culture Wrestling. Sheamus is probably one of the most talented wrestlers in the WWE. Currently, probably one of the most underrated wrestlers ever since he came in the WWE. And I feel like due to booking, he always had the great match sense and be able to put on a good match. But I feel like due to booking and the way his character was handled over the years, you never really got to saw it at all. So until recently, until Triple H took over the WWE, and he had his matches with Walter and stuff like that, doing this new segment, and I just recently learned that it actually rejuvenated Sheamus' love and passion for wrestling again. So let's hop into the video.
The most recent Extreme Rules Premium Live event was all about Bray Wyatt. I mean, you could have put on the worst show ever to the point we had all face palmed, but if Bray Wyatt had turned up at the end of it, we would have put our hands in the air and said, all right, and totally forgotten about that part. I mean, the fans were chanting for him all night. No, it is totally understandable, especially because that return will go down as an old-timer. But there was somebody else in that card having banger after banger after banger after banger. And in 2022, we've all decided, damn it, we love Sheamus. Why? Here's why. Now, for starters, we should do something in homage to Sheamus, so that's right, it's kind of a red-headed wig, but I don't know what you want from me. And on paper, all of this does seem kind of obvious, because I just talked about that catchphrase, banger after banger after banger, and Sheamus ain't just saying this. It's not like a lol, funny. This man is backing it up each and every single week. A secret part of all of this has been the Brawling Brutes, and even though that is a ridiculous name and features someone called Butch, these three coming together has been an absolute masterstroke. And even Sheamus in interviews recently has said, like, oh, I tell you, I've always loved this old sport, but recently my passion has been renewed, and I think it's showing in the ring. You're damn right. And I don't think the Irishman ever phoned it in, but he has just...
That match he had with Walter at
and the fact that he is getting
that Clash at the Council, that match was so good.
This big ball of positivity.
And that match that they had at Extreme Rules last Saturday was even better.
Against Imperium, and of course you're going to say, well done, good.
The tag team match.
And well done, Giovanni. But even when I went back and watched it for a second time, it kind of does feel like Sheamus is running the thing. I mean, he is the nucleus to it all, especially because you have to go to the previous PLE, Clash at the Castle, and watch Gunther versus Sheamus. I mean, there is so much good to be taken from this, not less the fact that WWE doesn't really ever do these kind of matches, at least not when Vince McMahon was in charge. Every now and then you'd get one, but Triple H sat in his seat and he was all like, oh baby, here we go, and he just gave us a war. I mean, they just kicked the shit out of each other, but if that's all they were doing, it would have been shallow, and it wouldn't hit you in the tum-tum. But the real thing that did break through that harsh exterior we all have is it had a great story, it had a great narrative, and once again we all wanted Sheamus to win. I mean, the fact he was able to get his ass off the canvas after almost being murdered and continue to fight just made you want to scream for the man. And it didn't even matter that he didn't walk away with the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, standing ovation.
Kicked his ass, Sheamus kicked Gunther's ass, and ultimately he just came up short. We could all understand that. We've gone through personal things where you don't just quite get there. So once again, what's happening? We're relating to him even more. Going back to what we just talked about in terms of the regime change, I actually think it was this match that gave fans a lot of confidence. Because it was like, oh, hi, Paul Levesque is going to go do things different. And all of a sudden, Sheamus kind of became the hero we needed. Or at least he was leading the charge for everybody else. Both guys were also presented as equals, which also helps. And I've said it once and I'll say it 79,644 times. Dave Meltzer, he of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, gave this 5 stars, and it deserves every single one of them. And as we have stumbled across this, just remember, it's only one man's opinion. If you thought this was absolutely pants, I mean, you're crazy, but you're allowed. Ever since all this too, it does feel like Triple H has invested in Sheamus a little bit more, and let's not forget the career he's already had. I mean, he's basically won every single title there is to win, apart from the IC Championship, which also tied into that match. Now he's using his experience to help others too. I also just feel like he's come of age. It's his time. This seems to happen to all wrestlers that get to a certain tenure. You develop that experience, you develop that respect, And all of a sudden the fans finally go, oh, I see it now. Flop me, you're great. I can tell you where some of the problems started too, given the two men that we are talking about right now, Triple H and Sheamus. You can go back to that WrestleMania match that they had and listen to what the internet wrestling community thought of it. Because they're all like, oh, well, they're only doing this because they're friends. Now I want to go, right, come here. That's not exclusive to wrestling, that's called life. I mean, do you want to hang out with Dave from accounts when you have to go on your work weekend getaway? Of course you don't, because nobody likes Dave from accounts, so buddies are always going to get together. And let's say that none of that was accurate. What a waste of life. Really, the seeds of doubt were actually first planted when Sheamus did arrive on the main roster. Because don't forget, super duper quick, he beat John Cena for the WWE
in the
title.
tables match.
So he kind of did it by shenanigans, which didn't help. Because it was a tables match, and the two were tussling the top, and Sheamus pushed Sean through a bit of wood, and yeah, he became the guy.
champion.
And I suppose some people were like, well, you won that belt, but look how you won it, it sucked. So it wasn't really the hard and push that let you know the company is getting behind someone new.
Then he beat Daniel Bryan in like, what, 11 seconds, 18 seconds.
You can find other videos after the last few years when
WrestleMania
I've
1
talked
year.
about this. For some reason, he kind of became a whipping boy, and it was not right. So I will say once more, this did leave me stunned, because you're going to build a new star. But let's not forget that back in 2009, we did start to have this weird relationship between the WWE Universe and management, where if you were in the crowd and you didn't like something, you didn't boo the wrestler, you booed management, and all of that then came back on the wrestler. And that is why Rey Mysterio got booed when he was number 30 in that Royal Rumble. Booing Rey Mysterio. Although we weren't booing Rey Mysterio, we were booing the powers that be. Oh my gosh, it was confusing. I mean, for a good while though, we were focused over there, and we weren't paying attention to the fact that Sheamus was having banger after banger after banger. Because that's not a 2022 thing. He's basically been doing this for a decade, and I'm sure there's one or two out there. But seriously, go and try and find a bad Sheamus match. Not many exist. So in many ways he was an artist ahead of his time, and that is hyperbole, but I do kind of mean it. And once again, WWE didn't really help him. Do you remember when he won the King of the Ring, and he had to wear the stupid costume? I mean, who would wear the stupid costume? What does that do for your credibility? And of course, there's that WrestleMania match with Daniel Bryan. And the reason WWE wanted it to go 18 seconds, because they were like, oh, can you imagine the star Sheamus will become after that? But all it did was make people go, no, we didn't like it, let's chant yes. So all of a sudden he did become the teacher's pet, and when you're the teacher's pet, you never get your due. But because he kept on coming back, and because he kept on having these good matches, finally, in the modern day, we're all starting to see it. I mean, he had the loyalty and he had the consistency, and now he has become a respected veteran, and it honestly makes me so damn happy, because I've been enjoying Sheamus for a good while. Even that Triple H match I enjoyed. I know somebody punched me. I also think we've got to that stage where you don't even bother considering turning him heel again, because it's not going to work. And I really do think that the full stop to all of this is that Sheamus is having a good time. And never underestimate the power of somebody you're watching clearly being entertained, and that juice and that energy coming out of the TV, smacking you in the face, and all of a sudden you're enjoying yourself as well. Because I'll tell you once, I'll tell you 9,622 times, positivity breeds positivity. That's why I love it so much. Just to wrap all this up too, sure he does hit hard, he likes a good old stiff punch, but you know what he likes even more? Somebody hitting him back. And you cannot get mad when an individual wants to bring balance to the force. Well, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
There's that Irish blood that's in him.
Leave a comment below and let me know a few things. One, what do you think of Sheamus? Two, I know you're out there, that one guy, I don't like him. Please do tell me why. And three, what should we do with him going forward? Because he does need to win that Intercontinental title at some point so he can finish the set. Then also like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head on to whatculture.com, where we shall keep you up to date with all the latest wrestling news, and we'll do that on Twitter, Instagram, and everywhere else at WhatCultureWWE and Simon Miller 316. And trust me.
Alright, y'all, another great video, man. Let me know down in the comments what y'all thought of my reaction to this video and the video in total. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Peace.